Welcome back to our run of Final Fantasy VI, the T-Edition. The last episode did not go as I had originally thought. I thought that we would be going through the three bosses in one clip or so. It took an entire episode to get through that first boss, so I have absolutely no idea what's awaiting us, what aspirations to have. Are we going to have the exact same thing that we had the last time? I certainly hope not. But we are continuing with our quest. As you see, I went back to the save point and saved it, just because I didn't trust moving forward without doing so. We'll leave it at that. So I just don't know what to expect with this game, just simply because, oh boy, there's that level question mark. Yeah, mentioned at the last clip, I think. It's based off of, if it's like level question mark Pearl or Holy from the original game, it's based off of the last digit of our guild or our steps. And if our level's a multiple of that number, then it's instant death. So, just as a recap, we are still in the Magitek Facility. Feels like we've been here for days now. But we are actually on the egress part of this. We're heading out. So these enemies are really good. These are these moves that are being used on us right here are called lures, and they can be learned when they're used on you. There is a character we will get later who learns them, so I'm going to remember these guys, the trappers, as a really good source for getting some of those lures later. I do not like that I'm already down to 10 Phoenix Downs with a few bosses to go in front of us. Frankly, I have a feeling with the last of these three bosses that we'll be fighting, I'll be using a lot of Phoenix Downs. And I'm definitely the most scared of him. The next boss that we have coming up is going to be scary, but just because all the bosses so far have been scary, I think it's manageable. But that last boss that we're going to fight on the escape, just honestly and truthfully, there's always just an element of luck involved with him. There's some things he can do that there's just not much you can do about it otherwise. So he scares me the most. But you know, my experience so far has been that the bosses that I traditionally have a hard time with, maybe I'm just on my guard more, but they're not as bad, and it's the ones that I think are going to be cakewalks that are catching me. So anyways, this is where, after that boss, we pick up, and as we look around, we see what's going on in here is there are more espers. They're in these captured little tubes, if you will. And they are going to do the same thing that Ifrit and Shiva did. They're going to give their lives to become Magicite for us, so that we can use their power and ability. Sid is kind of like the head of this lab, and seems absolutely bewildered, which is strange because you would think at some point in the history of them experimenting on these espers, some espers have had to have died and become a Magicite, and any scientist worth their weight would have looked into that, right? So I guess we're to state that no espers have ever died in the process of this. So Sid is coming to the realization that we've already learned. Oh, we're only getting 5. Normally we would get 6 here. But we only got 5, so that's a change. So we learned that Celeste and Sid have a little bit of a history because, of course, Celeste was experimented on to gain magic, and Sid is in charge of the laboratory that does that. So the rumor is that Celeste has actually been spying for the Empire this entire time. And Kefka's all too happy to run with that rumor. So Locke is starting to doubt now a little bit. And it seems like the whole team is starting to kind of have seeds of doubt planted in their mind. Celeste is saying, please believe me. Locke, who of course has a very protector status is the one that's having the hardest time coming to grips with this. He takes betrayal the hardest. But while their guard is down, they get attacked and knocked out before they even have a chance to retaliate. Celeste jumps to the side. But then takes action to protect us, to show that she wasn't as funny. Basically, she kind of teleports everybody but us out of the room. So I forgot about that for a half second. I guess I was just so rattled by the last boss that I forgot to unequip Celeste, which I normally do there, because we've at least temporarily lost whatever she had on her. So something bad is happening to this room. We have to escape with Sid. We're taking this little emergency exit elevator. And Sid has a what have we done moment here. That wasn't in the original game. He mentioned that Kefka apparently was using pressure to keep Sid in line. This kind of humanizes Sid a little bit. Sid is definitely not a bad guy by any stretch of the imagination, even though he was, you know, a head scientist in this research lab. Okay, there was not supposed to be random encounters down here. It's one of these kind of battles. This breaks the flow. Normally there's not battles down here, but I will say this. Because of what's coming up, we're going to be literally railroaded here in just a few seconds and we can't go back. So perhaps the idea here is that it gives us an opportunity to do some leveling up before we pass the point of no return. So to that, I say that is really good. I appreciate that they did that. Though it did catch me off guard. But I now need to know that. I can't just wander around down here. Oh, just in time. Locke learned to spell. Was it enough to finish Shiva? Doubt it. No. Well, let's take a look at our newest Aspers that we've got. Wait a minute. They showed me that I got 5 Magicite, but I only see 3 additions here. So I only got 3 Magicite? Okay. I'm definitely upset right now, because by this point in the game we should have, you know, a wide selection of Magicite. But let's see. Okay, so Modwin normally teaches only level 2 elemental magics, but look at what we can get from him. Haste at ×4, Rasp at ×3. Both of those are going to be very helpful. Unicorn teaches us some healing. And then Phantom learning to vanish is extremely important as well. And there's Poison. That would have been helpful for the last boss, huh? So I will have to say, though, at the very least, these are helpful. And Phantom, we are going to, as a strat, so I've mentioned a few times that I was doing a solo run with Terra, except for points where you don't have Terra like right now. And so, you know, that made these boss fights kind of hard. Phantom is incredibly important for the next couple boss fights, and you'll see why. Now I got to figure out who's going to put him on. I don't see myself using Regen anytime soon, so we're going to make it Sabin. I like how there's just no music, no sound here. And the ambience, the emotional build to it would be awesome if it weren't for the fact that these, you know, enemy battles kind of broke the moment, so to speak. Alright, so our next boss fight will be shortly. First, I'm just going to make sure we've got everything that we can use and need. Yep. Do I continue to want to have him use a black belt, or is there something better he can use? Sneak Arm Thief. I feel like the boss does some confusing moves, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have somebody who doesn't get confused. Then that's that. I won't need that then. Physical and magic evasion up, and so luck is just going to be kind of like a recovery guy if I need it. But then that means that I still got that. That's essentially a ribbon. Oh, I gave it him. That's right. Okay. So let's run with this selection of relics, and hope I don't die. Here we go. So we learn a little bit. Sid formed a bond with Celeste from a little girl because of the fact that she was there being experimented on. Sid is coming to kind of a moment because of that. But Kefka is showing up. So Sid sends us through this rail cart that heads out of Vector. So we will be leaving Vector. We will have several battles between here and the end. This is going to take us in the actual game probably about somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes to get to the end boss of this railroad part. As we learned falling down the falls in Sabin's quest, that took a lot longer, so I don't know if that means that this is also going to be longer, if we're going to have more battles. I don't know what to expect. But traditionally we should be on this for about 7 minutes or a little less. You see, it looks like the railroad goes to the right, but unlike when we were in the river, I don't actually get to say go left, go right. It just is for looks. At some point in the future in this game, Clyde, or Shadow, who we had the opportunity to recruit a few times, has the opportunity of becoming a permanent character. When that time comes, I'm wondering if I do work to train him up, because I'm getting a lot of good throw items. All these blades that I keep stealing off enemies. Cyan just learned Thundara, but unfortunately I can't go into my menu. So once you're locked into this, you can't go into your menu between battles. I can't change his Esper, unfortunately. We'll have an opportunity after the second boss, before the third boss, to do that though. So I can do so at that time. Interesting fact, Sabin's Blitz went off before Cyan's sword tech, even though I'd put in Cyan's thing first. So that's good to note. I feel like historically it was about 5 battles before the boss. This is number 4. But it's also not an exact science, because I know for a fact that I would feel a rhythm to it if it were the exact same every time. It feels like there's just like a random number generator and it just randomly shoots out numbers, and at certain intervals you just have a battle. Me not being able to heal between battles is a problem, and probably want to go ahead and take a second and... Ooh, that's not good. Okay, good, that was kind of low on the damage, but 2 of them is not good either. Yikes. Hey, I got it that time. Heals everybody but himself, which is fine, because I can do that with Sabin and then somebody can throw a potion on him. Which I'm going to do right now. And now we're all healed up, just in case the boss is the next battle. I feel like there's probably going to be one more, but I don't want to be low and then I get to the boss. Oh, still one more of these. Alright, so I feel like the boss would be this next one. Yep, alright, here we go. Ooh, new boss music, check it out. That's from 7. And I got, okay. Well, he has stopped. So this is going to be a lot like Bacon from Final Fantasy IV. It's a guy in 2 arms, each arm is sentient. Drain moves are going to be what the arms are going to do. He can restore the arms if I knock the arms out that leave him. So I'll probably be knocking the arms out considerably, you know, just focusing on knocking those arms out. I already got one down in the back. They'll come back, but I get a respite of being attacked by 3 guys when that happens. Lock being stocked is not a good thing for me right now. Whoa, that's kind of interesting. I'm going to have to rely on Sign to do some healing. That was a nice miss there. That was a miss because, of course, he already stopped. It's hoping to hit the body with that. Hey, came up in time. He uses a lot of magic, so I was hoping if I could have got a move off, that would have been helpful. Things are going to get a little tricky now. I'm taking it. Oh, first arm came back. See, he doesn't do both arms at the same time, though, which is kind of nice. So I can kind of stagger the arms a little bit. I only have one arm to have to deal with at a time, so I am focused on that arm, unfortunately. That means I can't miss hitting him with the auto beam. Ooh, hello. Locks accuracy and ceilings from the real sector those relics off to help in that regard. So he's going to drain approximately 100 every time. I gotta make sure that I'm doing decent damage to him on a regular basis. None of those arms should have been gone by now. sure you used to only do 50%. Looks like it's doing 75% now. Nice counter. Oh, here comes haste. So at a certain threshold of hit points, he starts using things like haste. In fact, oh, he's going to take all 4 of those. Nice. That's new. Normally does not know that. Doesn't look like you did a lot of damage, which is nice. You get a Phoenix Dance huge off. Shockwave he does do, and that typically does a lot more damage than that. So again, here's a boss that sometimes gives me a hard time, but not this time. You just can't really predict when the bosses are going to be hard or when the bosses are going to be kind of what I would expect. I think so long as I keep those arms at bay, I'm not going to expect any much of a challenge. There we go. I don't know what to predict. It's like I said, the last boss should have been the easy one. This one should have been a little bit of a challenge. Final Fantasy VII boss music, Final Fantasy VII victory thing. That's pretty cool. Alright, so I knocked this guy down. Save point blinks up here. We are definitely taking that one. This boss that's to come should be the hardest of the 3. Before we get involved with it though, let's just take a quick peek at Cyan's Aspect. I think we maxed out on Ramu. So we need to get... And I even forgot to use Phantom earlier, didn't I? I was supposed to use Phantom, which makes your entire party invisible. Let's get you on the Ifrit. You got a little bit to go there. And you just start on Phantom. Okay. Definitely make sure we save it. So even on a normal playthrough, this next boss is a bit tough. There are random encounters here. And that's normal. Still using Phoenix Dance. It's funny how far along ago in the game that I said I gotta make sure I get up to level 15. Ooh. Oh, that was interesting. Oh man, come on. You gotta go away. I mean, I can still take these Onion Knights out all in a sweep with Phoenix Dance, but that Chaser's gotta go away. There we go. How far am I from levels? Just curious. Oh, well, Luck's gonna get one on the next one. Alright, here we go. Everybody healed up. Here we go. Go. Setzer comes to check in on us, notices Celeste is gone. We gotta get out of here. Kefka catches up with us. We're gonna get the security system set up here in a very Final Fantasy IX kind of way. So this also is a puzzle boss, but it is a stronger puzzle boss than the last one we had to fight, and if we remember the challenge that gave us. So one of these is weak to thunder, and the other is weak to electricity. But they're also strong to each other's, and they'll use that to heal each other and go level 2 elemental magic. So since they use a lot of magic, Phantom isn't really going to help us anyhow because that makes you uninvisible anytime somebody uses magic on you. So the guy on the right is using fire. He's going to be strong to fire. Now, Setzer has this ability to use slots, but you gotta get 3 in a row, and if you miss, it doesn't really do much. So I don't typically use it a lot, but I just want to see what it looks like. Whoa! That healed a lot more than it usually does. Maybe that slot is gonna be good. Hey, got 7 flush. Uh-oh. We're boosting each other up a little bit here. Whoa, that did a little good too. Oh, that was elemental though. It made them even. This ain't. Just gonna get that quick. I just better start laying the damage now. Setzer might start being like this guy I like to use. Trying to focus all the damage to the left. Try to get one of these guys out of the way. What is that about? It's kind of weird. Really weird. What's this all about? What? Wow, that was interesting. New. I'm glad it didn't do the damage. Alright, Magitek barrier is going to be a wall, I think, in this game. I don't know what to say, I really don't. These bosses just had the exact opposite expectation all the way through. The one I thought was going to be the easier boss was the hardest. The one that I was like, okay, this one's going to be tricky, wasn't really tricky at all. And this last boss that is just totally the hard one. Didn't even have to try. Wow. I honestly thought this was going to take the, 45-50 minute target that I usually do. We got through them in 30 minutes. Alright, so we are going to finish the story arc. Locke says that he's going to explain who Terra is on the way back to Zozo. We're going to get auto-flown back to Zozo. And we're going to have a little story time. So Locke is going to notice that she resonates with a specific Esper that we have. It's not just any Magicite, but one of the ones that we have specifically resonates with her. And Terra starts to remember her past. The Esper's realm. So we are going to take control of an Esper just for the point of the story. I can't go into the menu or anything. His name is Modwin. Modwin happens to notice a human woman that was near the entrance of the realm. So this is extremely interesting. This woman, whose name is Miranda, no, excuse me, her name is Madonna, normally does not have that color hair. It's quite interesting that in this they made her hair the same color as Terra's. So that's where I ended up. In the original game, she says something kind of, boy, did that take a wrong turn, or something funny like that. Madeline. It's Madonna, I believe, originally. Which makes sense, because the Madonna was, you know, a motherly figure in, you know, Roman art. So that made sense, but Madeline's fine too. So humans and Espers, they can't coexist because, you know, 1,000 years ago it almost brought the, you know, all life as we know it to destruction. So obviously they don't like humans here. So many of the Espers around here, you know, they feel the same way. You know, we don't want humans here. That's interesting. It says youth, because we'll be seeing this Esper later too. He was just young here. But Modwin says, you know, you can stay if you don't want to go, because she mentioned how much she didn't like the human world. We get this little artsy montage. Or, montage is not the right word, I don't know what you would call it. So Modwin and Madeline fall in love. And biology aside, they have a child. And that child's name is Terra. And they lived happily ever after. So apparently, this wasn't mentioned in the original game, but he just said the Nexus reopened. So something allowed Madeline to come through 2 years ago, and that's the reason why humans just didn't stumble on it before. This is different than the last time. So now the human army has come and they found the Esper realm. And who else but Emperor Gestal? So they have a means of completely separating themselves from the world, a magic barrier. So basically, this is going to be a permanent barrier. Madeline is throwing her lot in with the Espers. They say, alright, sounds good. So everything sounds like it should be alright, right? But it looks like those old wounds from 2 years ago are starting to surface again. So they start talking bad about her, she starts running out because of it. And for whatever reason, she decides she's going to run toward the front, where the seal is beginning. Because if you remember, he said he's going to cause a tempest to sweep everyone out first, and then put the seal up. But of course, on their way fighting the Tempest back in, Terra gets caught up in the draft. So both Modwin and Madeline run after, or fly after her through with the Tempest. Wow, that's interesting. In the original game, Madeline entrusts Terra to the Emperor, not knowing his intentions, but here they turn the tables a little bit. She says, leave her alone. And so that is how Terra ended up to be in the Empire's clutches, if you will. It teaches us a little bit about who she is, half human, half Esper. Modwin is her father, and she's back to human. Now that her memories have returned and she's starting to come to grasp with who she is, her identity, she's also understanding how she can control her powers while she's in this realm. Because if you'll recall, the problem was when she kind of got triggered back into an Esper, she lost any control over herself. And it has to do with being in the human realm as an Esper. By coming to grips with herself, she learns how to control herself. That's a new piece of information. And that fits in with her battle mechanic of being able to transform into an Esper in battle, but she can only do so for a short period of time. So we will be heading back to Narsha to see how things are there. Alright, quick tutorial on how to use the airship. We'll go ahead and bring this clip to an end here in just a moment, but let's take a look around the ship. We can change our party as we seem to please now. I really wanted to use Gal more after learning about him, and Setzer's slot is no longer useless. So we've got a lot to experiment with in this game. Terra, of course, is going to be high in a lot of stats except for hit points, and that includes physical powers, in addition to that. So Ben will be our permanent team leader. He always is. He's just the perfect all-around character. Kind of missed having Edgar in some of his abilities as well, so we really have the sky's the limit. Thinking ahead of where we're going to go and the sorts of things we're going to encounter. Let's go ahead and make a party that consists of Terra so we can get some experience and levels on her. Edgar back into the fray. Let's bring Setzer along. Why not, huh? Now you'll recall that everything was equipped on everybody else, but I can talk to this guy. He's going to unequip everybody. Clean slate. So that we can hop in here and say, give me the best. We don't want the blood sword on her. There's a nice brand on her for now. We'll probably be going to a store anyhow soon. Don't want that. Put that on. Everybody can equip this little blood sword. But he can equip darts and cards. The darts are going to help his speed, but not his attack. Let's put that on. And of course, what do we got down here? We want a black belt. And a hyper wrist. We want some earrings on you, of course. So probably would be a good idea to put that red on here. Block all the elements. We want Atlas Armlet on you to raise that fight damage, but let's also... Let's get a Zephyr Cape on you. And for you... What's the other thing that's like written? Why not? I forgot it, right? And last but not least, let's get some espers on these guys. You're working on Phantom. You have a need for that. They get you some cure spells. We'll make you a gray or blue mage. Not blue mage, gray mage, time mage. Alright. That being said, we can go wherever we want and do whatever we want with this. There's a couple places we haven't been yet in the world that we will go. And if we try to go there early, there's not a lot we can do there. So really, the only practical place to go is where we're supposed to go for the plot. So I am going to fly our ship right over to Narsha. There are a few things we want to do in Narsha, but we'll handle them on the next clip. And that includes getting an optional character that is not necessary to get the game. It is available at this point in the game though, and so we'll get it. Anyways, this game's just full of surprises. Thanks for watching, and look forward to the next episode.